The Grand Assembly Hall of the Vanguard Alliance stretched across 3 kilometers of space, its crystalline dome capturing the light of distant stars. Inside, representatives from over 200 spacefaring civilizations gathered for what they considered a mere formality, Earth's petition to join the Interstellar Defense Coalition. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the assembly, her weathered face betraying none of the frustration she felt as dismissive chuckles echoed through the chamber. After 30 years of service in Earth's Space Force, she had expected skepticism, but not this level of derision. You propose that humanity join our defense fleet? High Chancellor Zewextal's bioluminescent tentacles pulsed with barely contained amusement. The Meridian leader's translator couldn't quite mask the condescension in their tone. Your species barely achieved faster-than-light travel 2 decades ago. The oldest civilizations here have been crossing the stars for millennia. Sarah maintained her composure, though her jaw tightened. Behind her, a holographic display showed Earth's modest fleet of conventional ships, vessels that the Alliance considered practically antiquated. The chamber filled with more barely concealed laughter. With respect, High Chancellor, Sarah spoke clearly, her voice carrying across the vast space, humanity's worth cannot be measured merely by the age of our civilization. A Tellarian representative, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns of skepticism, interrupted. Your species still uses plasma-based weapons. Plasma. We abandoned such primitive technology centuries ago. More laughter followed. The assembly's reaction was precisely what Sarah had anticipated. Humanity had carefully cultivated this image of technological backwardness since their first contact with the Alliance 5 years ago. Every public demonstration, every shared technological insight, had been carefully curated to maintain this facade. Perhaps, Sarah continued, the Assembly would be interested in knowing why the Nexus pirates have failed to successfully raid any human colonies, despite multiple attempts. The chamber fell silent. The Nexus pirates were a pressing concern for the Alliance, having grown bold enough to strike even heavily defended worlds. Their quantum phase technology made them nearly impossible to detect or engage effectively. High Chancellor Zewextal's tentacles stilled. We assumed your colonies were too primitive to be worth their effort. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Is that what you assumed when the pirate dreadnought Midnight Scourge disappeared in Earth-controlled space last month? Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The disappearance of the Nexus pirates' flagship had been a mystery that plagued Alliance intelligence. Some representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. We have a saying on Earth, Sarah continued, her voice taking on an edge of steel. Never judge a book by its cover. While the Alliance has been policing the galaxy with brute force and obvious power, humanity has taken a different approach. She pressed a small device on her wrist. The holographic display shifted, showing what appeared to be empty space above Earth. Then, with a ripple effect that started subtle and grew more pronounced, shapes began to emerge from the void. First one, then dozens, then hundreds of ships materialized, vessels of a design the Alliance had never seen before. May I present the Phantom Fleet, Sarah announced to the now-stunned chamber. While you saw our conventional ships and laughed, these vessels have been patrolling Alliance space for the past 3 years, completely undetected by your most advanced sensors. The display zoomed in on one of the ships, revealing its smooth, almost organic curves and the way it seemed to bend light around its hull. We didn't achieve this through brute force advancement of existing technology. We approached the problem differently. Instead of trying to block sensors, we developed a way to guide light and energy around our ships through quantum manipulation of spacetime itself. Chancellor Zewextal rose from their seat, all traces of amusement gone. You claim these ships have been in our space. Impossible. Our detection grid is based on looking for energy signatures and distortions, Sarah completed the thought. But what if a ship doesn't create any distortions? What if, instead of trying to hide, it simply guides the very fabric of spacetime around itself like water flowing around a stone? She touched her device again, and the display showed footage from the Midnight Scourge's last moments, the pirate vessel firing blindly into apparently empty space before being surgically disabled by weapons that seemed to materialize from nowhere. "We're not here to beg for membership in your alliance," Sarah declared, her voice firm. "We're here to offer our help. The galaxy is facing threats that cannot be defeated through conventional warfare alone. The Nexus pirates are just the beginning. Humanity brings not just technology, but a different way of thinking." The chamber remained silent for several long moments before the Tellarian representative spoke again, their crystalline form now reflecting patterns of respect rather than derision. "You've been testing us all along, haven't you? Watching how we treated those we considered technologically inferior." Sarah nodded. "Every civilized society should be judged not by how it treats its equals, but by how it treats those it perceives as lesser. Your reactions today have been illuminating." High Chancellor Zwextal's tentacles had taken on a deep blue hue of embarrassment. "It seems, Admiral Chen, that humanity has much to teach us after all. Not just about technology, but about humility and perception." "That," Sarah replied with a slight smile, "is precisely why we're here." In the days following Admiral Chen's revelation to the Vanguard Alliance, the political landscape of the galaxy transformed dramatically. The massive chamber that had once echoed with mockery now buzzed with urgent discussions and hasty diplomatic overtures. But Sarah Chen had already departed, leaving the Alliance to stew in their newfound humility. Aboard the Phantom Fleet's flagship, the NSS Nightshade, Sarah stood at the observation deck, watching the stars streak by in quantum-shifted colors. Captain Maya Rodriguez, her longtime friend and commander of the Nightshade, joined her at the viewport. "The diplomatic corps is having a field day," Maya said, her dark eyes twinkling with amusement. "Apparently, we've received formal apologies from 17 different species in the last 6 hours." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Funny how quickly attitudes change when you reveal you've been watching their backs without them knowing." The Nightshade's quantum communications array chimed, interrupting their conversation. A holographic display materialized, showing a tactical overlay of Alliance space. Red markers indicated suspected Nexus pirate activity, clustering around the Centauri Reach, a volatile region known for its valuable quantum crystalline deposits. "They're getting bolder," Maya observed, studying the pattern. "The pirates have never hit this many targets in such quick succession." Sarah's expression darkened. "They're testing responses, trying to gauge if our revelation has changed Alliance defensive patterns." She pointed to a particular cluster of attacks. "Look at this spread, they're probing for weaknesses, but there's something else." The tactical display shifted, highlighting supply routes and civilian traffic patterns. The pirates' raids, seemingly random at first glance, formed a subtle pattern when overlaid with trade routes. "They're hurting civilian ships," Sarah realized, her voice tight with concern. "Each raid pushes commercial traffic toward this sector." She indicated a region near the edge of Alliance space, close to the notorious Void Expanse. Maya's eyes widened. "A trap. They're setting up for something big." "Computer, overlay known Nexus pirate fleet compositions with current ship movements," Sarah commanded. The holographic display flickered, adding layers of data. Ghost images of pirate vessels appeared, showing predicted fleet positions based on their typical tactical patterns. "There," Maya pointed to a seemingly empty sector. "That's where they'll strike. The Harmony Colony Cluster, 3 civilian worlds with minimal defenses. The Alliance moved their defense fleet from that sector last week to deal with raids in the core systems." Sarah studied the projection, her mind racing through scenarios. The Phantom Fleet had been humanity's best-kept secret, but now that it was revealed, they had to be even more clever. The pirates would be expecting cloaked ships now, adapting their tactics accordingly. "Have they detected any of our observation posts?" Sarah asked. Maya shook her head. "No. The quantum loop relays are still invisible to their scans. We're getting real-time data from every sector they're operating in." "Good. Because I think I know what their real target is." Sarah manipulated the display, zooming in on the Harmony cluster. These colonies aren't just civilian outposts. They're home to the largest quantum crystalline refinement facilities in the sector. If the pirates seize those facilities, they could upgrade their entire fleet with advanced cloaking technology, Maya finished, grasping the implications. They'd be nearly unstoppable. Sarah's expression hardened. That's why they've been so active lately. They're not just raiding, they're gathering intelligence, preparing for a major operation. She turned to Maya. How many ships do we have in range? 3 full battle groups, plus the Nightshade. We could have another 4 groups here within 6 hours if we push the quantum drives. Sarah nodded, her mind already formulating a strategy. The Alliance will expect us to swoop in and save the day now that they know about us. The pirates will expect that too. But we're going to do something they won't expect, we're going to let them think their plan is working. Maya raised an eyebrow. You want to let them attack? I want them to think they're succeeding, Sarah corrected. The Alliance's remaining defense fleet will respond conventionally, making a show of trying to protect the colonies. Meanwhile, she adjusted the tactical display again, showing the complex gravitational eddies of the nearby void expanse. We're going to use what they think is our greatest strength, our cloaking technology, as a diversion. The pirates will be looking for cloaked ships now, expecting us to play our obvious advantage. Understanding dawned on Maya's face. So we give them what they expect to see. While doing something completely different, Sarah confirmed. Contact Alliance Command. Tell them we need every scrap of data they have on the void expanse's gravitational anomalies. And get me a secure channel to Admiral ZYXTAL. If this is going to work, we need the Alliance to play their part perfectly. As Maya moved to carry out her orders, Sarah remained at the viewport, watching the quantum-shifted stars. Humanity had revealed one of its greatest secrets to the galaxy, but they had kept others. The Phantom Fleet's cloaking technology had impressed the Alliance, but it wasn't their only innovation. Sometimes, Sarah reflected, the best way to use an advantage was to let your opponent think they understood it completely. The pirates were about to learn what humanity had known for centuries: true strength lies not in the weapons you possess, but in how cleverly you use them. The Nightshade's quantum drive hummed beneath her feet as they accelerated toward their destination, invisible among the stars. The next few days would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy once again, not through brute force or advanced technology, but through the uniquely human gifts of innovation, misdirection, and the ability to think beyond the obvious. The trap was set. But not the one the pirates thought they were creating. The Harmony colony's 3 worlds hung like jewels in the void, their cities glittering beneath protective atmospheric shields. From the Nightshade's cloaked observation position, Sarah watched as the civilian evacuation ships departed, a steady stream of light ascending into space. Not all civilians had agreed to leave, many had chosen to stay, trusting in the Alliance's promised protection. Nexus fleet detected, Maya reported, her voice tight. Massive signature, larger than our projections. Counting 15 dreadnoughts, 40 cruisers, and... Sarah, they've brought their entire raiding fleet. The tactical display lit up with red markers as pirate ships dropped out of quantum space. Their formation was perfect, a classic encirclement pattern that cut off all conventional escape routes from the colony cluster. Alliance Defense Fleet is responding exactly as planned, Maya continued. Making a show of trying to break through the blockade. The pirates are pushing them back exactly as we predicted. Sarah nodded, watching the pieces fall into place. And our special package? In position. All quantum loop relays are functioning. We're getting clear data from every sector of the battlefield. The pirate fleet's confidence was evident in their methodical approach. Their ships moved with the precision of a force that believed victory was certain. On the primary command channel, their leader's voice boomed with smug assurance. Attention Harmony colonies. This is Admiral Vex of the Nexus Free Fleet. Your pathetic Alliance defenders cannot help you. Surrender your quantum crystalline facilities, and we may let you live as our workers. Resist, and we will not be merciful. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Right on schedule. Signal the Alliance fleet to begin their retreat. On the tactical display, the Alliance ships started pulling back, making a show of trying to protect the civilian evacuation ships while steadily giving ground. The pirates pressed their advantage, their fleet splitting perfectly to maintain their encirclement while pushing forward. They're not even looking for us, Maya observed. They think they've accounted for our cloaked ships by setting up quantum detection grids. Because that's exactly what we wanted them to think, Sarah replied. Humanity revealed one secret to the galaxy, our cloaking technology. They assume that's our only advantage. She touched a control, and the tactical display shifted to show gravitational currents in the nearby space. The void expanse's influence created complex patterns of spatial distortion, patterns that most species saw as a navigational hazard. But humans had learned to see them differently. Begin Phase 2, Sarah ordered. Deep in the void expanse, hidden devices activated. They weren't cloaked ships or weapons, they were gravitational anchors, precisely positioned over the past week. Each one began subtly altering the natural gravitational currents of space. On the tactical display, Maya watched as the gravitational patterns slowly shifted. The pirates aren't detecting anything unusual. Their sensors are calibrated to look for cloaked ships and energy signatures. Because no one expects an attack that uses natural forces, Sarah said. Signal our ships to begin their approach. Real stealth now, no quantum wake, no energy signatures. Pure gravitational riding. The Phantom Fleet's ships shut down their primary systems, becoming little more than expertly shaped pieces of metal in space. Using the gravitational currents like ancient sailors used ocean currents, they began gliding into position, utterly invisible to even the most advanced detection systems. The pirate fleet continued their advance, pushing through the last lines of Alliance resistance. Their massive ships moved into perfect position above the quantum crystalline facilities, exactly as planned. Gravitational confluence in 30 seconds, Maya announced. Alliance ships are clear of the effect zone. Sarah watched the countdown, her expression grim. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, she said quietly. It's our ability to see patterns others dismiss. To turn natural forces to our advantage. To think differently. The gravitational currents reached their calculated peak. The carefully positioned anchors created a complex web of intersecting forces, invisible but enormously powerful. Now, Sarah ordered. Throughout the battlefield, gravitational forces suddenly shifted. The pirate fleet, positioned exactly where Sarah's plan had placed them, found themselves caught in a massive gravitational vortex. Their ships, designed to resist energy weapons and quantum attacks, had no defense against the fundamental forces of space itself. As the pirates' formation broke apart, the Phantom Fleet struck. Ships seemingly materialized from nowhere, their weapons already firing with surgical precision at the now helpless pirate vessels. Each shot disabled rather than destroyed, targeting propulsion and weapon systems with incredible accuracy. Admiral Vex, Sarah broadcast on all frequencies, I believe we need to discuss the terms of your surrender. The pirate fleet, their perfect formation shattered, their ships trapped in gravitational eddies they couldn't escape, had no choice but to comply. The battle was over before it had truly begun, won not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through humanity's unique approach to warfare. In the aftermath, as Alliance ships moved in to secure the disabled pirate vessels, Maya turned to Sarah. The Alliance will never underestimate us again. No, Sarah agreed, watching the cleanup operation. But more importantly, they'll begin to understand that true advancement isn't just about building bigger ships or better weapons. It's about learning to see the universe differently. The Harmony colony's lights still glittered below, their people safe, protected not by overwhelming force but by human ingenuity. It was a lesson the galaxy wouldn't soon forget. 24 hours after the Battle of Harmony Colonies, the Grand Assembly Hall of the Vanguard Alliance had transformed. Where once derision and mockery had echoed, now a profound silence held as Admiral Sarah Chen addressed the emergency session. The Nexus pirate fleet has been completely neutralized, she reported, standing before the vast gathering of alien representatives. Over 300 ships captured intact, their crews detained, and most importantly, 0 civilian casualties. High Chancellor Zewextal's tentacles rippled with a mix of awe and embarrassment. In a single operation, you accomplished what our combined fleets couldn't achieve in 5 years. But what truly humbles us is not just the victory, but the method. The holographic display showed recordings of the battle, focusing on the intricate dance of gravitational forces that had trapped the pirate fleet. Several scientific advisors from different species were already analyzing the data, their expressions showing a mix of confusion and revelation. Your species, a Tellarian scientist spoke up, their crystalline form vibrating with excitement, didn't just develop new technology. You fundamentally changed how we understand space warfare itself. Sarah nodded. Humanity has always known we couldn't compete with the Alliance in terms of raw technological advancement. We were thousands of years behind. So instead of trying to catch up, we chose to think differently. The display shifted to show the complex network of gravitational anchors, their subtle influence on spacetime now visible through specialized sensors. While the galaxy's greatest minds focused on bigger weapons and stronger shields, we studied the basics: gravity, light, and space itself. We learned to work with natural forces rather than against them. A Meridian Admiral, their bioluminescent patterns showing deep thought, asked, "But why reveal this capability now? You could have maintained your advantage in secrecy." "Because the galaxy faces threats greater than pirates," Sarah replied, her voice growing serious. "Our long-range sensors have detected something approaching from intergalactic space. Something that makes the Nexus pirates look like a minor inconvenience." The chamber fell silent as she brought up new sensor data. The readings showed massive objects moving between the galaxies, their energy signatures unlike anything in known space. "We call them the Harvesters," Sarah continued. "They've already consumed 2 dwarf galaxies, converting all matter and energy they encounter into something else. Something we don't yet understand. They'll reach the outer rim of our galaxy within 5 years." The assembly erupted in concerned murmurs. High Chancellor Zewextal raised their tentacles for silence. "Why didn't you bring this threat to our attention immediately? Would you have believed us?" Sarah asked quietly. "A primitive species claiming to detect an intergalactic threat your own sensors couldn't see. We needed to prove ourselves first, to show that humanity's different perspective has value." She gestured to the tactical displays showing the Battle of Harmony. This victory wasn't just about defeating pirates. It was about demonstrating that conventional thinking won't be enough to face what's coming. The Harvesters don't fight like anything we've encountered. They don't use ships in the way we understand them. They manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Just as you did in this battle, the Tellarian scientist observed, patterns of understanding flowing through their crystalline form. "Exactly," Sarah confirmed. "Humanity spent centuries feeling small, looking up at the stars and knowing we were technologically behind. But that perspective forced us to think creatively, to see patterns others might miss, to find strength in working with natural forces rather than trying to overpower them." She brought up a new display, showing preliminary designs for a combined defense system. "We don't need the Alliance's advanced technology to fight the Harvesters. We need the Alliance's technology combined with humanity's perspective. Together, we can develop defenses that work with the fabric of spacetime itself." High Chancellor Zewextal rose, their form towering over the assembly. "You came to us offering membership in our alliance. Instead, you have proven that we should be asking to join yours." "No," Sarah said firmly. "This isn't about one species leading another. This is about combining our strengths. The Alliance has incredible technology, vast resources, and millennia of experience. Humanity brings a different way of thinking, of seeing the universe. Together, we might stand a chance against what's coming. The assembly chamber, once filled with mockery of humanity's primitive status, now buzzed with energy as representatives from hundreds of species began discussing combined defense strategies. Sarah watched as ancient rivals set aside their differences, united by the realization that survival would require more than just advanced technology. In the back of the chamber, Maya appeared at Sarah's side. "Think they're ready for what's coming?" Sarah watched as Alliance scientists pored over the gravitational warfare data, already beginning to combine it with their advanced technology. They're starting to understand that true strength isn't about having the biggest guns or the most advanced ships. It's about being able to see problems from new angles, to think beyond conventional solutions. She smiled slightly. And if there's one thing humanity has always been good at, it's thinking outside the box. 1 month after the revelation of the Harvester threat, the Nightshade orbited Earth, its quantum-shifted hull reflecting the golden light of sunrise. From the observation deck, Sarah Chen watched as ships from across the galaxy descended through the atmosphere, not as invaders or reluctant allies, but as partners in humanity's most ambitious project yet. The surface of the moon had been transformed. Where there had once been empty lunar plains, now stood the largest collaborative scientific installation in known space, Project Watershed. Its massive arrays of gravitational anchors and quantum sensors stretched across hundreds of kilometers, designed to create the galaxy's first early warning system against the Harvester threat. The Talarians just completed installing their quantum core, Maya reported, joining Sarah at the viewport. They're saying the efficiency is 300% better than projected, thanks to the gravitational lens modifications our team suggested. Sarah nodded, watching as more ships arrived. And the Meridians? Their bioorganic computing systems are perfectly adapting to our gravitational current models. They're calling it a revolutionary synthesis of biological and physical sciences. Maya paused, smiling slightly. Funny how quickly they've gone from mocking us to studying our research papers. The comm system chimed, and High Chancellor Zewextal's holographic form appeared. Their tentacles moved in patterns that the human crew had learned to recognize as excitement. "Admiral Chen, you need to see this. The combined sensor array just picked up something extraordinary." The observation deck's holographic display activated, showing a vast section of intergalactic space. The Harvester fleet was clearly visible now to the enhanced sensors, but something else had appeared, gravitational currents on a scale they'd never seen before, flowing between galaxies like cosmic rivers. "We always assumed these were just random spacetime fluctuations," the Talarian chief scientist's voice joined in, their crystalline form appearing in the hologram. "But when we applied your gravitational mapping techniques, they're highways, Admiral. Natural paths through space that could reduce intergalactic travel time by factors of thousands." Sarah studied the patterns, seeing familiar flows on an unimaginable scale. The Harvesters aren't just consuming galaxies, she realized. They're following these currents, using them just like we did at Harmony. But they're doing it wrong, forcing their way through, disrupting the natural flow. Which is why they leave destruction in their wake, Maya added, understanding dawning. They're treating space like something to be conquered rather than worked with. Sarah turned to the assembled holographic representatives. "What if we don't just defend against the Harvesters? What if we show them a better way?" The next few hours were a blur of scientific discussion and tactical planning. Alliance technology merged with human insight, creating something entirely new. The gravitational anchor network expanded, not just as a warning system but as something more, a way to guide and shape the natural flows of spacetime itself. 3 months later, as the first Harvester scouts approached the galaxy's edge, they encountered not a defensive line of ships and weapons, but a carefully orchestrated dance of gravitational forces. The combined fleet waited in strategic positions, not to fight, but to demonstrate. "They're responding," Maya reported, watching the sensor readings. Their energy signatures are shifting. They're adapting their approach. For the first time in recorded history, the harvesters slowed their advance. Their massive forms began following the natural gravitational currents rather than forcing their way through, their destructive wake diminishing. "Send the signal," Sarah ordered. Across the combined fleet, ships activated their gravitational systems in perfect synchronization, creating a cascading pattern of space-time fluctuations, a language written in the very fabric of the universe. Hours passed as the two civilizations communicated through gravitational patterns. Finally, the harvester fleet began to transform, their rigid structures flowing into more organic shapes that worked with space rather than against it. "They were like us once," Sarah observed, watching the transformation. "A civilization that thought power came from forcing the universe to bend to their will. They just needed to be reminded there was another way." In the months that followed, the galaxy changed. The Alliance's advanced technology merged with humanity's innovative perspective, creating new forms of space travel and communication. The harvesters became not invaders but teachers, sharing knowledge gained from countless galaxies while learning the art of working with natural forces rather than against them. On the observation deck of the Nightshade, Sarah watched Earth's sunrise one last time before departing on humanity's first intergalactic mission. The ship would ride the cosmic currents to distant galaxies, not seeking to conquer or control, but to understand and learn. "You know what the best part is?" Maya asked, standing beside her friend. "No one's laughing anymore when we suggest something different." Sarah smiled. "Because they finally understand that true advancement isn't about having the most powerful technology. It's about having the wisdom to see that we're part of the universe, not its masters." As the Nightshade slipped into the gravitational current, its quantum-shifted hull becoming one with the natural flow of spacetime, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had entered the galactic stage as a seemingly primitive species, but they had brought something more valuable than advanced technology. They had brought a new way of seeing the universe itself. And in doing so, they had helped create something greater than any single civilization, a galaxy that had learned to dance with the cosmos rather than struggle against it.